Hi, this is Dave, and before we get to the show, I wanted to ask you a favor. One of our goals this year is to grow the show so that What Does Star Wars Mean to You reaches more listeners. And that's where we're asking you for help. And it's really easy. Wherever you listen to us, please hit that subscribe button. If you're liking the show, give us a 5-star rating and review on the platform you listen to us. We make a lot of fun of the algorithm and the smash that button thing, but it really does help us get noticed by new fans. And if you want to join in on the conversation, find us on social at Star Wars Mean to You. That's Star Wars Mean, the number 2 in the letter U. Now, let's chat some Star Wars. Hello there. This is Dave, and you're listening to What Does Star Wars Mean to You? The show where we talk to all kinds of fans of Star Wars, from industry insiders to indie artists, from mega collectors to obsessive mythologists, to find out how Star Wars impacted their life. Here's the thing, there's a lot of ways to look at Star Wars, and it's all from a certain point of view, and that point of view is yours. And let's face it, we all love what we all love about Star Wars. I believe that hearing someone talk passionately about what they love can open your own mind to new ways of thinking about things. Also, it's just fun to talk Star Wars. So I want to change the conversation from what is right or wrong about Star Wars to what does Star Wars mean to you? Today, it's Thursday, May 25th, and Star Wars was released on this day in 1977. So it's only fitting that episode 14 is my conversation with Manda, a Star Wars influencer known for her positivity. So hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a single episode. If you're liking the show, please give us a 5-star rating and review. And tell me what you think. Join me on Twitter and Instagram at Star Wars Mean to You. That's Star Wars Mean, the number 2 in the letter U. And now, my conversation with Manda. Today, my guest is a Star Wars influencer whose positive take on Star Wars fandom has the internet taking notice. She was featured in the article More of Us, Star Wars TikTok creators spread positivity within the fandom. She got the enviable opportunity to go to Star Wars Celebration this year, has been featured on the podcasts Divas Unleashed, The High Ground, and Justice Roundtable, to name just a few, and is a massive fan of Hera from Rebels. Let's give a warm hello there to Manda.
Hi, hello there.
Hello, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah. Oh, my pleasure.
Are you ready to tell the world what does Star Wars mean to you?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay, so I start with 5 with the Force. This is 5 kind of basic questions I ask all my guests just to set a baseline for their Star Wars fandom.
Nice. Okay, cool.
First question is, which Star Wars movie is your go-to favorite?
We're starting to something controversial already, but I love Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
I know people love to hate on it, but I love to love on it. It is my favorite. It's my comfort movie. I don't know what that says about me, if it's my comfort movie, but Attack of the Clones, I mean, it's just, I think it was the first movie, I saw it in theaters, and it was the first time that I was very much like, oh, okay, like it just, like I just remember it in theaters, and I think there's some really great elements there, and God, I could spend the whole podcast talking about Attack of the Clones, but Attack of the Clones, my favorite movie.
That's amazing. I just today I just put up an episode with Camila Quinones, and she saw
Camila.
Attack of the Clones very first, and that's the entry point of her fandom. I love talking to people whose entry point is the prequel trilogy, because it's a very different point of view. Mm-hmm. And we'll dive more into that. Let's get on to the next question. So this one requires a die, so I'll roll it now. And it's, what is your favorite droid?
Oh, gosh. Does it have to be canon?
No. It's like, do you mean like Legends series from before Disney?
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish it would just be BDAD. Before Disney, after Disney.
So I'll give you a Legends one and then a canon one. Okay. Legends is HK-47 from Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2. Love him.
Yep. The video game.
He is the video game. I love KOTOR. I love it. And HK is just my man. But if we're just doing strictly canon, then I mean Chopper. I'm a huge
Yeah.
Kara stan, and so I love her little buddy, little murderous. Apparently, I love murderous, sarcastic, chaos-driven droids.
That's funny. Those are the three words I hear the most associated to Chopper.
Yep, that's accurate.
It's just so interesting how this droid has all those kind of traits associated with him. And
Yeah.
then what is it about HK47 that you love so much?
So Knights of the Old Republic is very special to me. I've been a Star Wars fan all my life, but Knights of the Old Republic was when I played it, not when it first came out, but when I replayed it like in my early adulthood. I really like made Star Wars like something I obsessed over. And so I HK47 is just kind of the comic relief of of the
Yep.
more or less, and it just became very beloved. Like in Knights of the Old Republic, you can choose like your two people that you're like going out into the world with, and you're supposed to like mix it up or whatever, but I would always choose HK47. I just loved him. I loved his little sarcastic comments. I Knights of the Old Republic, you can also play it if you're playing like light side or dark side, like good or bad,
Yes.
And I always tend to do the good. And so HK47 can just like be my murderous, like mischievous streak. Like, if I want to be the good side, he can be the bad guy.
You can push all the dark stuff onto him.
Exactly.
What is your favorite line to quote?
Ooh. So there's a quote that I use a lot. Trying to think of something a little more meaningful than this, but I always talk about how Ahsoka, and I'm going to bastardize the quote here, but it's something about there's always truth in legends. It's from Rebels, and Ahsoka's talking about it, and I always hang on to that because obviously I love elements of legends, but I think my favorite books are the From a Certain Point of View books, and I just love that, like from a certain point of view, like I love the way that Star Wars sets up like this extended universe and certain things where it's like, oh, we may not have like Jason and Jaina Solo, but we have like Rey and Kylo. It's kind of like a warped game of telephone where, like
Yes.
it's like it's gone galaxy, or like Visions, or like certain things that aren't quite exactly canon or whatever, but it's kind of morphed into this and like folklore and legends. And I think that's so cool and such an interesting way to deal with all this IP. And so, like having Ahsoka say, oh, there's always truth in legends, that was really cool for me because it's like, oh, it's kind of true, maybe from a certain point of view. I love the way that they approach that. So I say that quote. My family, we say it a lot, actually, just in regular life, and it's just, yeah, I guess that quote.
That's a great quote, and I love how it references and ties what has happened before into the world where we are now. And
Exactly.
Question number 4 is, can you do any Star Wars impressions or impersonations? The look on your face.
Oh God. I just tried. Have you ever played that game Heads Up?
No.
Where it's a thing you do at Disney parks a lot when you're in line. And one of them is like impressions. And I was trying to do a Yoda impression, and literally my friend just started like cry laughing because I just was so bad at it. So I can try, but apparently my Yoda impressions are bad. What quote did I say? I don't know. Bad at Yoda impressions, I am. As good as you're gonna get.
That is fantastic. A good bad Yoda impersonation is always a pleasant surprise.
You don't want to even see my Chewbacca impersonation. I cannot do that stuff for the life of me. More power to people who can.
Right. Besides the movies, what is your favorite Star Wars content? This could be a TV show, comic book, a novel, a game. You've already said a ton. So is there one that stands out to you that's like, this is?
I mean, I really love Knights of the Old Republic, especially Knights of the Old Republic 2. But that's not like, canon Disney. So I will say canon Disney, I really love the From a Certain Point of View books.
Yes.
The next one's coming out in August for Return of
Yeah,
the
I saw
Jedi.
that.
I've got yeah, Empire Strikes Back. I've got A New Hope right here, right by me. I read them all the time. I just think it's such a cool way to like tell the stories, but like
Yes.
telling them from tangential perspectives and little short stories, and you get different perspectives, different authors, and they're like authors that go on to write books or the novels or comics, and it's
Yeah.
just like such a cool system. And it's just very clever. It's very clever, and yeah, I I
It
I don't know of anything else like that out there with like common fandoms that does that. So it feels very unique as well.
Yeah, I think Star Wars has such a bevy of side characters that are, you could even just call them extras. It just has extras that fill up this
Yeah.
galaxy. And from a point of view, really does a great job of going, oh, this person was in this scene. Let's let's take that scene from his point of or her point of view. The one I think of a
Yeah.
lot is the guy who didn't shoot the escape pod as it was it was like
Yeah. Yeah.
uh no life forms,
No,
don't bother. You know?
yeah.
And then he had to fill out
There's like a whole
forms.
story about it now.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's so smart. Even like the little like mouse droids that like, like
Yes.
that character, these like the little people, the stormtrooper here, like that's just so cool. It's just expanding the lore. And I love reading those and then rewatching the movies because it's like everything else is, it's just the best.
It fills out the universe.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so that's 5 with the Force. Thank you very much.
Of course.
Moving on, how were you introduced to Star Wars? What brought you to the point of like, this is what I'm going to obsess over? That's a horrible way of phrasing that question. Let me
No, it's
rephrase
okay.
it. Good. I'll keep
It's all good. Okay. It's true. It has become an obsession. But yeah, so kind of in two stages. My father was a huge Star Wars fan. He not maybe to the level of me, but very much loved it. Also like Star Trek, like all my mom calls it little white dots, like all the like little stars in space, like um loved all those kinds of shows. And so I grew up around that. My dad also had a bunch of the old Legends Extended Universe novels. So, like the Thrawn novels, Heir to the Empire, like all this stuff, which was really awesome. And so I was around all that, but I wasn't like intensely in love with it. I just really
Yeah,
appreciated it.
yeah.
And then when the prequels came out, I was a kid. We went to Phantom Menace. We went to Attack of the Clones. We saw Revenge of the Sith, all of them, and I can remember seeing the movies and making it. It felt more real. Attack of the Clones in particular stuck with me. We got the Pod Racer N64 game. I played
Yes.
that a ton, and so it was like very much a part of my life, right? But I was focused on other things, and then in probably the darkest moments of my life where I was, dealing with really heavy thoughts, mental illness. I was far away. And this was like young adulthood, like post college, right around that area. And Knights of the Old Republic was a game that had been out for a while. And I loved playing video games and I started playing it. I'd never played it before. And something just clicked. It was very much like I was just in the universe and I was doing all of the side quests. And it was just this source of like hope and joy and ridiculousness and camp and adventure. And like it was just giving me everything. And I just was loving it. And the twist, I mean, I won't ruin it, but like the twist of the game just like blew my head. I was just like,
Yes.
oh my God, like, and I'd somehow made it and nothing had been spoiled, which was amazing. And I just was like, oh, I love this. And so I just started consuming other Star Wars content. I picked up, I went to my local library and I looked up Star Wars books, and I found Dark Disciple was the first one that I read.
Yes.
It was a
Oh,
hell of a book
wow.
to start with. Great book. And then I was
Yep.
like, oh my gosh, and then, okay, well, I'll watch Clone Wars and, oh, maybe I'll watch Rebels. And then it just more, right? So it really helped me through a dark period of my life. And it gave me that hope. It gave me that found family almost that's such running themes in Star Wars.
It is.
And
Yes.
even when we went to the pandemic, like, that was a really dark area in people's lives too. And I went to social media and like I downloaded TikTok and there were other people my age who loved Star Wars this much or younger or older. And I was like, oh, I want to be a part of this community, So it's like,
Yeah.
it's just kind of always been a part of my life. But the general theme is definitely like giving me hope and giving me this kind of community um, when you need it, which is really beautiful.
It is really
So
beautiful. It's a
yeah,
an amazing journey to take. When
yeah.
you played Knights of the Old Republic,
Mhm.
did you then go like you did say you dived into more Star Wars, but did it make your viewpoint of the prequels or the original trilogy change in any way? Like did it enhance your enjoyment of those, the things you had seen already?
Yeah, that's a great question, and absolutely. That's something that really I feel like most Star Wars fans don't get to experience because you watch the movies, you watch the maybe watch the TV shows, and then that's it, and you get it, and that's great. But like the prequels in particular, there are some big holes or like gaping areas, that if you just watch the prequels, you're like, okay. Like for me, and a good example would be like Padme Amidala. Like I watched the prequels as a young girl, and I didn't really connect with Padme that much. I thought she was kind of one dimensional. Like she was great, but I wasn't like, oh my gosh, like this woman is incredible, right? But
Hmm.
now that I've read novels, I've watched Clone Wars, I've played the
Yeah.
games, I've done all these other stuff, and it's like, oh no, Padme is like a badass. I love her. I like
Yes.
her handmaidens, and like I know all this backstory. So then when you watch her, it's like, oh, it's kind of like what I was talking about with the From a Certain Point of View books. Like you have all this context and this additional lore that just
Yeah.
really enhances, and that's incredible to me. And also addicting. Like when new stuff comes out, you're like, well, what happened to this little dude? Tell me more about this guy.
Yeah.
Um, the Star Wars fandom has created this word called glupshido. Have you heard of this?
No, I have not.
Okay, so it happened like during the pandemic, and it was this person on Twitter who made it sounds like a curse word, it's not, but basically this person, sorry, on
Or
top
an
of
ice cream.
yeah, yeah. They said, "Oh, Star Wars fans will be watching Star Wars, and like Glup Shido will show up on the screen, and they'll freak out." And basically, like online social media Star Wars fans, we've taken that to be like, because it's true. We find like our little tiny character who means nothing has like two lines, and like that's our person. Like we're
Yeah.
obsessed about them, right? So everyone has their little like Glup Shidos, and so like a good Glup Shido would be like the guy in who has the Camptono, like the ice cream maker machine who's
Oh
running
yeah.
away.
Yeah, on
Yeah,
Bespin.
like yes, in Best Ben, where he would be a Glupshido, right? Like he has no point in the story, but like, oh, he shows up, you freak out, like little people here. I have a Glupshido up on this wall that I'll show you. Bazine Natal from The Force Awakens. She shows up.
Uh,
I'm obsessed with her. She's got a short
yes,
story. Like,
she's in Maz Kanata. Is it Maz Kanata?
yeah,
Maz
Mads
is.
Kanata. Yeah, she's right outside. Yep.
Yes.
And like, I love her. I've read everything about her. I'm going on a tangent, but all I'm saying is
No.
that these Glup Shadows are these little characters in Star Wars, you connect to, and it's fun to have all that lore and all that content to pull from, and to be able to do that to your little people.
Cinema Craptaculous is your podcast destination for all things movies, good and bad, streaming series, good and bad, and pop culture, good, bad, and the ugly. You get a totally different show every week, such as People Also Watched with Adam, Dave, and Tara. They're three industry insiders who always find the hilarity in the big budget feature and the lesser known feature you may have missed. There is, of course, the Expanded Universe. This is your place to geek out. John, Doc, and S'more are your geek experts to talk about what's going on in the world of streaming series, movies, superheroes, pretty much any showbiz geek topic, they're going to talk about it. And of course, there's the show that started it all, Cinema Craptaculous, with Stephanie, John, and Dave. You don't even need to have seen the movies these guys talk about to have a good time. So what are you waiting for? Go and subscribe to Cinema Craptaculous wherever you listen to your favorite podcast.
So your dad was big into the original trilogy. You got it sounds like you got big into the prequel trilogy.
Yeah.
When we were just talking before we started, you were talking about how much you love Attack of the Clones. I hope you don't mind me saying that.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Which I think to an extent agree that it's severely underrated because I didn't watch it for like 10 years. And then
Oh
in
wow.
that 10 years, I had watched all of Clone Wars, I had watched some of Rebels, and then I was like, I'll just put it on. And it was
Yeah.
because of all the context from all those other movies, I was like,
Hmm.
oh, this is really kind of fun and interesting. And it felt like I was watching it for the first time as well. The point of my long-winded question is this. Did you have any fun debates, or what did your dad think of you liking the prequel trilogy, and what was his point of view of the prequel trilogy?
I don't think anyone's ever asked me that. My dad was always very supportive, right? He's not one of those fans that's like, I hate this and rah, 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 like
Yes.
you get some people very like anti-prequel trilogy. I don't remember that from him at all. He bought us the little toys, like the little Kenner, like we had all the like the pod racer video game. We
Yeah.
were very in the prequel trilogy. And I think it was like Star Wars is very generational, right? And so like
Yes.
the original trilogy was how he entered, the prequel trilogy was how me and my brother entered. And I think that was very cool for him because it was sharing something from his childhood in a different way, but still the same
Yes.
universe. So I always really appreciated it that we could relate, like we could talk about the same characters, have that same kind of enthusiasm. It was always very positive and very supportive, which I didn't know at the time was maybe unusual, but something that's really been so nice, right? Because I was able to grow up as a positive Star Wars fan. It's just Star Wars is for everyone. And like you don't have to necessarily love all of it 100%, but you don't have to harp on the negative stuff. You can just find what you love, right?
Yeah.
And that was
absolutely
special. Yeah.
That's fantastic. How did he introduce the original trilogy to you? Like, it sounded like you grew up in a household of casual Star Wars-ness, meaning like the books were around. I'm sure the movies or DVDs in some form were around. Was the OT kind of always part of your life because of that? And did you know it well before you saw the prequel trilogy?
I'm going to answer to the best of my ability, but because again, it was just kind of always there. I think my very first introduction to Star Wars was actually at my grandma's house. My dad's mom, she had a bunch of toys and they were the old Kenner toys. So it was like Chewbacca and Han Solo and like it was all these random toys that I didn't know who they were.
Yeah.
But they were like a box of toys. And there was like an Ewok village thing that you could like put them in. Clearly stuff she had bought like back when they came out that I'm sure are probably worth a ton of money now. And I just remember playing with those. So it was never like, I don't have a moment where it was like, oh, what is this new thing, Star Wars? Star Wars was just kind of always there. Same as Star Trek. It was always just kind of on or something like that. Maybe my dad could tell you the exact moment because I'm sure when he showed us the movies for the first time, that was a moment for him. But I'm sure we were young because I can remember rewatching it with him. But yeah, I don't have any moment like, oh, Darth Vader's the father. I just always knew that, I guess.
Yes.
As far as I can remember.
What in the future of Star Wars are you looking forward to?
Ooh, good question. So I was at Celebration where they announced a bunch of stuff, which was super exciting. Like obviously the new Daisy Ridley movie is going to be amazing, and I'm really excited about that. It was very cool to just like know she was there being supported by the fans, and like same with like I remember watching Hayden Christensen was there, and even last year at Celebration, just like the amount of love that we can show these characters or actors really who maybe haven't always gotten love or have had to deal with some difficult fans or difficult backlash. It's really beautiful that they're getting the opportunity now to see how much they really are loved and supported.
Yes.
Especially in a place like Celebration where it's just so much love and so much like all right there. I'm getting off topic, but I am excited for the Daisy Ridley movie. I am super excited personally for The Acolyte, but also for the Dawn of the Jedi movie, which goes way, way, way back because Legends girly. And, I love
Knights of the Old Republic took place,
all of that,
25,000 years?
Yeah. So I'm just so stoked. I'm not going in with like, oh, they need to do this and that and this person. And if they do this, like, no, I'm just like there for the ride. Like whatever you give me, I will just love and delicious. It's going to be great. So I think that's just really cool that they're going both ways, back and forward and just like fleshing in everything in between. That's so exciting.
I thought it was very interesting how they were like, you know what, we're going to take 3 different eras and we're going to kind of like dip our toes in each era. We're not going to announce a trilogy or anything. We're just going to take these 3 different eras and see what works and what resonates because something will. And
totally.
I think is a very wise step. You brought up something that I've been thinking a lot about lately, which is
Mhm.
the living with expectations.
Mm,
You said something along the lines of I'm not going to go in with any expectations, which I
yeah.
think is brilliant. I've been finding as I kind of immerse myself more into Star Wars Twitter
Mhm,
online that there's a lot of speculation. There's a lot of taking some things out of context and representing as an absolute. There
mhm,
is a lot of, I said speculation. I think those two things are the biggest ones.
mhm,
One example being, oh, Rey's going to restart the Jedi Order. And then 2 days later, it was, oh, Rey's going to be like a side character in this, and we're going to be focusing on other things. And that's when it
mhm.
dawned on me. It's like every time I go in with an expectation of something, I did this with The Last Jedi to a certain extent with The Force Awakens, but it really hit me with The Last Jedi, where I walked in expecting one thing and it was something kind of completely different. And I had to take time in order to get over my own stupid expectations and accept
Yeah,
what was on the screen.
yeah.
So my question to you is what do you think is the role of speculation, and does that create a certain amount of expectation? And then finally, part three of the question, does that
Okay.
ruin or enhance the experience? Is it better to experience the movie kind of cold, or is it better
Mhm.
to experience it like via breadcrumbs, like the 500 days leading up to the actual release?
That is a very good and complicated question.
It really is.
Not on your end, but it's layered, right? And it's also very subjective. So, for instance, I just saw the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 movie. I
Yes.
had purposely not watched any trailers. I had purposely, anytime I saw things online, I scrolled away. Like I did my very, very best to know nothing. And it was an interesting experience because usually with movies, I know a ton of stuff beforehand, especially Star Wars movies. I'm like
Yep.
constantly like, oh, um,
And it's hard
and
to
so
avoid. It's
it is very hard to avoid, especially if you're like part of Star Wars social media. Like everyone's
yes.
posting it. Not everybody flags spoilers. Like
Yep.
it's very difficult. So, but seeing that movie, Guardians of the Galaxy, without any spoilers, was an interesting experience. But I think it's just personal. Some people love that, right? Some people love, oh, I just had no idea, and there was the movie, and that's it. But I think I consume media in a way, especially the stuff that I love, like Star Wars, where I love being like, is it gonna happen? Is this, oh, maybe I did, like, and that's just my preference. That being said, there are pitfalls. You mentioned that you went to The Last Jedi with expectations and it took you a while to like come around. I had the exact same experience with The Last Jedi.
Mhm.
I went like hard. I was reading spoilers. I was reading everything like daily. And I thought for sure I knew what that movie was going to be. And it was not that movie. And so
Yes.
I literally left the movie and went into the movie theater bathrooms and wept.
Oh,
Not because I was mad at Star Wars. I like losing, spoiler alert, losing Luke Skywalker at the end of the movie just destroyed me. And I wasn't ready to let him go. And it was just a very different movie as well. Like there were certain things in the movie that I was like, what is, I struggled.
yeah.
And I promised myself then, and I was like, but it was unfortunate because every time I've been watching it now, and the more I learn about it, the more I'm like, no, that is a great movie.
Right?
And
Yes.
and it's okay. And I just came into it with the wrong perspective. And I think that happens all the time in the fandom, not
Yeah.
necessarily maliciously. People just think they know and think they speculate, and you can go too far. And then you go somewhere and it's not what you think it is, and then you're disappointed. I thought for sure Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi was gonna light his lightsaber, and it was gonna be red. Like I would have put money on it. And that's not at all what happened. Like not even close. And so and that's fine. And if you want that to happen, go write fanfic on AO3. Like make it happen in your own little world, whatever. But like you can't put your expectations on these filmmakers to make your movie or nothing else.
Yes.
That's not fun. That's not what it's about. So it's finding this balance is what I'm trying to say. And I think it just depends on who you are and where you are at. But I wish fans would give each other maybe a little bit more grace on that, because it's very easy to say, well, I know, like for me, like, oh, I know Hera and this is wrong and this is how it should be. When really there can be a lot of, from a certain point of view, different perspectives of that character. And it's okay to have that. It's just learning to kind of hold them with open hands. If that makes sense.
It does make sense. And I love that you're using words that are very important specifically to Star Wars too. Point of view, perspective, and balance. Because those are all kind of things that every character faces. Whether they're the Sith, the Jedi, Rebels, Imperials. Well, not so much the Imperials, maybe. But
sometimes, yeah.
yeah, sometimes. I mean, Finn had was a New Ordean. He was a New Order, First Order, part of the First Order.
First order member.
Yeah. And he had he was fighting balance. He was fighting perspective.
Sure.
I find that very interesting. I find it interesting when people adapt language and reflect it back via their entertainment.
Yeah, I mean, that's very much on purpose, but
Yeah.
it's trying to find the language that people understand, right? You know, like,
Yes.
listen, if you love the Jedi and you appreciate that, let's use some of what they have in our daily life or in our discussions, you know? So
exactly. Yeah. Okay, so I think you've touched upon it a little bit, and I'm a little new to Star Wars Twitter, but I understand. I've heard all the words of fandom menace, toxic fan. Right now, one being tossed around, toxic positivity.
Yeah.
What does being a positive fan mean to you?
That's a great question. You ask really good questions.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I try not to dance around the subject, even though I may dance around.
I appreciate that. I know, I really do. Yeah. So I have been called a toxic positivity fan more times than I can count. And I see the argument, right? You should be able to critique and talk about things and talk about your fandom and talk about the things you love in that way. That's totally fine. Absolutely. There should be a space to say, well, so-and-so, or have a discourse and a discussion. I love that. Yeah. For me, I think it's important to promote positivity because of, like you said, the fandom menace and that reputation, I think, that the Star Wars fandom can sometimes have for being intense, hurtful, like toxic, whatever that means. It gets thrown around a lot. And I think as a fan, and especially a female fan, and especially a queer female fan, it's important for me to have that kind of community and safe space and supportive environment. Yeah. Because really, we all love the same thing. Yes. And I think it's important if we all just, like, I'm going to butcher this quote, but like what Rose says to Fen, like, we'll win by saving what we love, not what we hate. Yeah. And I think that's just a theme of Star Wars. So yeah, I think having discussions and discourse and, oh, well, what about, and they should have, and maybe, completely fine. But you can do that in a way that's not, well, you're blank for doing this and I hate you and go die, like death threats don't have to happen.
No.
It happens all the time, and it's just so frustrating. And I know, especially for me and many of my female fans and queer fans or friends and all of that, like, it's so hard to put out content and to talk about that in a respectful way, because you get people who just immediately go from 0 to 100 of like, well, you're dumb, well, you're stupid, well, wow, this is terrible. And you just have to kind of develop a bit of a thick skin, because there are people out there who really are looking for that, right? I want to be the kind of creator or the kind of person that I wanted when I was looking for fans and when I was looking for a community. Yeah. And I think it's really important to know that there are more of us, and there are people who just want that kind of community. Discourse, yes. Critiques, absolutely. But in a respectful and uplifting and positive way. Something about Star Wars Celebration in particular is the people who go to Star Wars Celebration mostly are just there to love it, Yes. And it's just this really intense cocoon of like fans who are like, oh my God, I can just love this thing. I can say I love the sequels and no one's going to try and like say, I'm going to murder you in your sleep. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I can just which is awful, right?
It is
And I
awful.
know it's
And
frustrating. It's so like it's so rough and it shouldn't be that way. It's a fictional universe and it's just something we love.
yeah,
And I feel so bad for like honestly like Lucasfilm and the actors and these people who just are constantly onslaught like faced with this onslaught of hatred
yeah.
for just putting out content, and it's like it shouldn't be that way. So sometimes I think I lean more towards the Star Wars is for everyone. You can love what you love, and like really pushing that message, which to some comes across as toxic positivity. But I'm just trying to put that out there to try and counterbalance
Yes.
the other people on your For You page that is just like, well, F you and all this stuff. So toxic positivity, I think, is more accepting everything and not wanting to talk about anything at all. And that's not me. I think it's just trying to reset and trying to show that there are people who just love the universe and just want to appreciate it and just want to, be a part of it all. It shouldn't have to be that difficult, but it is sometimes. It's rough. Ugh.
Well, I think I think social makes it too easy to be as almost as you said it quickly to be cruel.
Yeah.
Have you found a lot of close friends via social media through your presence online? Like, do you, Camilla, who I mentioned earlier, she met
Yeah.
people online and went to the Halcyon with them and had a fantastic
Huh?
time,
Yeah.
created a community. Have
Huh.
you found yourself doing that?
Yes. Camilla's one of them. I just saw her last week. So she was actually my very first person I met from social media. She was so
Wait, are
sweet.
you
I was so
serious?
nervous. Yeah, yeah.
Oh my
We went and got
God.
like a year and a half ago. And we've met, I don't know how many times now. We've got to Disney together, like, it's a bunch of times. But she was the very first one. And I was very like, hi, don't be weird. I'm not weird. Are you weird? It's fine. And she was great. She was so wonderful. I love Camilla. She's just fantastic. But
That's
I mean,
spectacular.
meeting her and it went well. Like I've met so many of my friends. I went to Celebration. I stayed in an Airbnb with 6 of them. Like
Wow.
one of them just came and stayed with me for a week. She literally left yesterday. So yes, I've made some of my like extremely close friends. I've got a group chat of 8 of us where gosh, we send like 150 messages a day. It's just
Wow.
constant, and we're all over the world. And so like time zones, we're just sending each other stuff. And that's been for like almost a year too. So it's been really special.
It's special.
At Celebration, I got to meet a ton of people, people I've been on podcasts for and like, go out to karaoke with them or like go get a drink or whatever. And it's fascinating when you find your friends, you find your people, and you find this
Yeah.
community, and it's just really special. There's this guy, his name's Star Wars Lawyer. His name's Chris, Kris. He's awesome, and he has a movement where he's calling it, like There Are More of Us,
Yeah.
where he's just like every celebration, like bringing this like group of people together. That's this like positive Star Wars fandom community, and it's just a beautiful movement. It's a beautiful a thought and all of that. And these people are just all terrific. I told you I had a 10-month-old daughter when she was born. They all sent me like baby clothes and
Oh,
books and like all the cards and all, you know what I mean? And I'm just
yeah.
like, they're your real friends, and it's just really, I'm so grateful for them. Really, they're some of the best parts of my life. So it's, yes, the long version, but yes, I have met some fantastic people over Star Wars social media.
That's fantastic to hear. I love it.
Uh-huh.
Do you have, you touched a little bit upon this, but do you have any advice for people who are entering the Star Wars social media world right now? And it doesn't have to be as not necessarily entering as an influencer, just someone who wants
Yeah.
to follow and participate. Do you have any kind of advice for them?
Yeah, absolutely. I so remember being that myself and being like, who do I follow? How do I find these people? And I would say, like, find a creator that you love. For me, genuinely, one of the first people I found was Camilla. She was making content at that time. And I was like, amazing. She looks fantastic. I love it. And then find who she's following, right? Find her like mutuals. Who's commenting? Who is she commenting to? And then you'll find that group of people. And then start interacting with them if you want to. You don't have to. You can just find a group of people to follow and just follow, and that's amazing.
Yeah.
But if you want to make the friendships, it's funny. Like I was just telling somebody, like making friendships as an adult is like kind of hard,
Yes.
especially in the pandemic. Like after the pandemic, it's difficult. You're not like in school and they're not like next to you in your desk. You know what I mean? It's like you have to make an effort. And so it's just taking a little bit of a risk, putting yourself out there. I know when I first entered Star Wars Twitter, I just like tweeted, hey, I'm new and this is what I like. And if you like it like this and follow me, and I've found people that way. And I mean, like it or not, the algorithms of social media will eventually bring you, the kind of content that you want to be seeing. So just interact with that more and find your people. And especially if they're like, I know I can speak for my friends, like we love finding more people, more content, more people who appreciate or challenge in a respectful way. Like I love that. I love new perspectives. So yeah, absolutely engage. That know that there are people out there who want the same exact thing as you. So you just gotta find them.
That's a great answer.
Yeah.
I really thoughtful. As you were saying that, and you referenced the algorithm, I was like, oh my God, that's like the universe. You put out the energy you want and you get it back. Is the universe a
You're so
social
right.
media algorithm?
Yeah.
Oh God, who am I?
I've never thought about it like that, but yeah, you're totally right.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that went deeper than I expected. What is your favorite Star Wars memory?
Ooh.
I feel like there's so much to talk to you about because we may have to do a part 2 in like a couple of months.
That's fine. I'd love that. I'm really enjoying this.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad.
Favorite Star Wars memory. Ooh. Wow. So much of my life is Star Wars. That is difficult. What's coming to mind? I don't know why this is coming to mind, but okay. But this is what I'm going to say. It's just what came to mind. So when I was pregnant with my now 10-month-old daughter, very pregnant, very much in the throes of like hormones, and I was huge, and you know what I mean, just like pregnant. And my husband, we were watching Rebels because I love Rebels, and we got to the episode Twin Sons, where Darth Maul finally meets Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I don't want spoiler alert, when they fight for the last time. And I'm a huge Rebel stan. Love Rebels so much. And that episode is one of the like top tier. And that fight in general, it goes by quick, but there is a lot of layers, even like the stances and like the fact that he does what Qui-Gon did and then adjusts, and like it's a lot.
And he does the adjustment where he goes from, like you said, Qui-Gon from prequel era Ben to sequel or original trilogy Ben, and that's a great kind of moment where he changes his stance, and you're like, oh, that's how he fights Darth Vader on the Death Star. Sorry.
Yeah. No, you're totally right. There's a lot there, and it's just beautiful. And so I'm this excited about it now. Imagine me like pregnant, hormone at the end of the day, just like, and my husband was secretly taping me because I was just watching and just weeping and crying. He did that, and then oh my God, and then I'm like, I can't believe, just like going for it and just talking out loud. And I wasn't realizing he was recording me, and then I just was a mess. And I don't know why that came to mind, but eventually I turned around and was like, oh my God, but like, I just love it to my core so much. It just like evokes such an emotional response. And that's just a funny memory, I guess, for me, for Star Wars.
That is, it's, I'm a big Rebels fan as well. What do you think it is about Rebels that, and I feel like a lot of fans are big Rebel fans. For you, what is the thing about Rebels that just gives it that extra like Star Warsian-ness? I
mean, you nailed it. Star Warsian. It feels like peak Star Wars. And it's funny, I say that and I just have this trauma response, but I can hear all the Clone Wars people being like, no, Clone Wars is better. And that's fine. Clone Wars is amazing. I'm not saying Clone Wars is not Star Wars. It is. But Rebels feels very, if I say like Macquarian, do you know what I mean? Like,
no, I don't.
The like original, oh, my brain just stopped. Sorry. The original artist who
Oh,
did
Ralph McCoy,
like
yes.
Ralph McCoy, yeah. So like had all this like really like core Star Wars things for Star Wars. And there's just so many drawings. Dave Filoni would just go back and find old Ralph McCoy drawings and like pull from them. And just like
Yes.
Rebels is very McCoyan in that sense.
Well, Zeb
Which
is
makes it
based
feel
off the original Chewbacca.
Yes, it's a perfect example. And so like and from everything from like ships to ideas to outfits to planets, like there's a lot there. And I love that Dave did that because he just pulled from literally the archives when they weren't being used.
Yep.
And it feels the animation is different. I like the animation. The stories are meaningful. It doesn't feel like it dicks around a ton, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
You know, it kind of gets going and it gets going and like it just ramps up every season. Like in Harry Potter, you know, where it kind of starts off and then it gets darker and more complex and more intense the like you go along. Rebels is like that too, and I love a good story like that. It has great lore. I mean, Thrawn shows up, Legends girly. Obviously, I'm gonna love that. The Darksaber, Maul. You know, it's just got something for everyone. And then I just love Hera and the Found Family and the Ghost Crew. Ezra, like the Purgles. I think it's all just very beautiful and very whimsical and campy and meaningful and oh my gosh, like Ahsoka versus Vader, you know, like I'm no Jedi, like it's got everything. And it's just fantastic.
What are the top 3 elements that make Star Wars to you?
Okay. I think hope is what Star Wars is about, obviously. You know, I think hope in all sides of it, right? Dark side, light side, rebel, empire. Something that we've seen so much is just that the main theme is finding that, whatever it means to you, if in your darkest moments, when you're lost, all of that. I think a second element for Star Wars is found family. And finding people who support who you are, finding identity in yourself, but also in relations to the community and like what you do with that, right? What do you do with what you've been given to yourself? How are you a part of this family? And I think hope and found family, and then honestly, just like a good old time. Like it's a space opera, it's a Western. There's flying whales if you look to the right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like these meaningful things, and then also just like I like from Mandalorian season 3, like an angry pirate Christmas tree. Like, yep, that's Star Wars.
Yes.
So, and I love that.
Yeah. I love the description of the pirate because it's so true.
Yeah, Gorian Shard, angry pirate Christmas tree. You know what I mean? It's great.
To me, when I first saw him, even though he's Pirate Christmas Tree, I got very Pizza the Hut vibes from Spaceballs. And I don't. It just could be the face structure of like.
I mean, I can see it. Yeah, for
right.
sure. I guess he looks like a Doctor Who villain as well. I haven't seen that, but he's very, very out there. But that's what makes Star Wars Star Wars. You can have Andor and you can have that, you know?
Yes.
It's both that makes it this amazing, like special sauce. So
my final question to you. Okay. I mean, as soon as we hang up, I'm gonna be like, oh, I should have asked more about Celebration. We barely touched upon Galaxy's Edge. You know what? Maybe we should do a special episode of just like Destination Star Wars.
Yeah, that's
right.
Great. Yeah, totally.
Because I'm a hermit and you've been everywhere, so I think it'll be really you'll be my eyes and ears.
Okay, happy to do
it. So you go to Skywalker Ranch, and there at the gates, George Lucas greets you. What do you say to him?
Oh my God, what? You know, I would treat him just like a normal person. You know, they're all just regular people as well, doing what they love. And I don't think I would get too intense. Like maybe if we were like, okay, let's go get dinner or something, and I had a chance to like talk with him more, sure, absolutely. But I just thank you. I'm sure he's heard it a million times, but like, I'm so appreciative. It's been an honor to meet you, you know, and just make him, I don't know. I've interacted with enough people who are in the spotlight to know that they just want to be treated normally and just, you know, appreciation and respect. And that's what I have for him. I'm so grateful in so many ways. And so I think I would just try and just convey that as normally and as calmly and as respectfully as possible.
Well, you've got one up on me because I'd just be like, "You're awesome."
I mean, I'm sure I probably would, yes, be very nervous, but yeah, it would be an honor to meet him, 100%.
Well, Kier, thank you so much for telling me what Star Wars means to you.
Oh, my pleasure. Great questions.
Thank
Wonderful to be here. Yeah.
you. Where can people find you?
Yeah, so I'm on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at Mandalorian, which is my last name, Manda, and like midichlorian and like Mandalorian, like all smushed into one thing.
I'm a little
Yeah.
jealous that your last name's Amanda. It like so perfectly fits into Mandalorian.
I know. I was like, I can't not. It's right there.
Yeah. It's so perfect. Well, I'll put all those links in the podcast notes as well as your link tree. There's a lot of great shows people can find you on, a lot of great podcasts, and I really enjoy following you on Twitter. So thank you so much for joining me, and have a wonderful day.
My pleasure. You too. Bye.
So that's what Star Wars means to Kier Manda. Have you played Knights of the Old Republic? Do you have your own Glup Shido? And do you think the pirate, Gorian Shard, looked like an angry Christmas tree? Let us know and get in on the conversation on Twitter or Instagram. At Star Wars Mean to You, that's at Star Wars Mean, the number 2 and the letter U. Next week, my guests are Jamie Benning and Justin Berger, co-authors of the book Return of the Jedi Unauthorized Timeline 1976 to 2023. So hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a single episode. And if you're liking the show, please give us a 5-star rating and review. And remember, the Force will be with you always. Hi, this is Dave. And before we get to the show, I wanted to ask you a favor. One of our goals this year is to grow the show so that What Does Star Wars Mean to You reaches more listeners. And that's where we're asking you for help. And it's really easy. Wherever you listen to us, please hit that subscribe button. If you're liking the show, give us a 5-star rating and review on the platform you listen to us. We make a lot of fun of the algorithm and the smash that button thing, but it really does help us get noticed by new fans. And if you want to join in on the conversation, find us on social at Star Wars Mean to You. That's Star Wars Mean, the number 2 and the letter U. Now, let's chat some Star Wars.